I think all artists hate themselves. When I was growing up, I was the artist of the group. And just like every other kid, I had a rainbow era when I found out that there wasn't a limit on how many colors you could have on a piece of paper. I would just keep drawing one smack dab in the middle, and then eventually I graduated to landscape, quote unquote. A green grassy field with flowers, blue skies, clouds, and of course, a yellow sun in the corner. And then eventually I moved on to the worst possible art form, fan art. I had just finished playing Kingdom Hearts 1, so I just drew a circle with some red lines and I called it Kairi. That was my chosen identity for the next 18 years, and I hung on to that with a death grip. Every assignment I had was always the victim of my pencil assault. I always drew on the corners of all of my homework, and it would either be horribly incompetent or charmingly kitsch. And much to my chagrin, everyone around me praised me for it. They thought it was amazing. They thought I was really good for a kid my age, quote unquote.
And then came an inflection point in my life,
where when I was 12, I really started to take things seriously. And by seriously, I mean that was when I realized that there was such a thing as human anatomy and proportions, and I decided to dabble with it.
Every sketchbook homunculus I created was some type of derivative take on Clamp's work or just a straight up copy.
To all of my peers and colleagues, aka the 7th grade anime club, and my mom would always show off my work to her coworkers and her friends, and she would talk about how I need to draw her eventually, and how I should draw things for other people, for free of course.
And I was riding off that high. I thought I was amazing. I thought I was the next Leonardo da Vinci.
And then I found out about DeviantArt. I drew a picture of this bunny girl that I was so proud of when I finished it. It was done in pencil, black and white, on paper of course, and there were a lot of eraser smudges, but it was mine. And I could say that I was the one who spent hours making it.
And then I found out about this bitch.
All of a sudden, sketchbooks filled to the brim with anime eyes and 3/4 angle sketches of anime girls just seemed so mediocre. And I realized my entire identity, everything that I had built myself up to be, was essentially a lie. I wasn't an artist, I was something even worse at the time. I was a hobbyist.
My confidence shrunk as my world became much larger. Whereas I would need 2 hours to churn out some mediocre pencil doodle, someone's worst would be a study that belonged in the Louvre. And whereas my sketches were just chicken scratch with no rhyme, no reason,
this random Japanese artist on DeviantArt can somehow churn out these beautiful lifelike gesturals just from their morning commute on the subway. My best was always going to be someone's worst.
And while my world expanded, so did my love for art.
Art forms, checking out books from the library on human anatomy. I obsessively people watch for references to the point that I became the rumored school shooter, and using every single moment that wasn't filled with keeping up with my anime of the week, dealing with family or homework, to draw and draw and draw. I didn't want the title anymore, I didn't want the clout.
I was going to get good at art just because I wanted to.
書いててよかったって思えた。藤野ちゃん、部屋から出してくれてありがとう。
Look Back is a Japanese one-shot web manga written and illustrated by Tatsuki Fujimoto, who, if you didn't know, is the creator of the super mega popular shonen title Chainsaw Man. And it features a major heaping of unabashedly horny teenage boys, bully kinks, toxic girl boss girl queens, terribly flawed people who are also strangely endearing, while also being multifaceted, and of course, ultra-violent. And Look Back is nothing like that. It's a slice of life coming of age one-shot. The story centers on Ayumu Fujino, an elementary school student with a talent for drawing and comedy. Though talent varies depending on who you ask, Fujino can draw a person that looks less mangled pile of trash, more how to draw a manga tutorial. Her artistic acumen is noticed by the school, so Fujino draws gag comics for the weekly school newspaper. Word is that she's the best artist of the school. Everybody is eating up her comics. They're probably the greatest thing since Flamin' Hot Lays, and Fujino lives for the attention. In fact, she swims in it as her peers constantly shower her with praise. She's at the top of the 4th grade food chain. It doesn't get better than... Kiyomoto is some truant mystery brat, a kid who may as well be a shadow, a kid who hasn't so much as shown up to one day of class, pulls up with her fancy drawings and her stupid mystery artist act, and Fujino is last week's news. Fujino's world shrinks, along with her confidence, and then rage takes the place of shock. She devours art books at the same alarming rate that she combs through sketchbooks. Whatever time that could be spent with her friends getting ice cream or on homework is instead spent with her nose in between the pages of some new book on human anatomy. Praise and attention no longer drives Fujino to make her art. Instead, it's something more primal. All she knows is that this stranger is making her feel like some talentless, mediocre hack. Fujino doesn't really have an identity outside of being an artist.
Then comes a day where she can see the fruits of her labor. Fujino accepts that perhaps Kiyomoto is one of God's chosen few. The sketchbooks, the pencils, the tomes that she's invested so much of herself in has now been retired and laid to rest. And whatever ghostly nagging presence possessed her is now gone since she's relinquished the title of artist. What is there to be gained from being an artist anyway? You major in art, to what? Be a disappointment to your parents who wish you would use these 4 years of your youth on something more fulfilling? Or worse, you might end up hating the one thing you've dedicated your life to once it becomes a job. But that's a concern for another Fujino. But Kiyomoto happens. She's a stringy little goblin with kelp for hair, and with the way that she's nervously muttering words and tripping over her own thoughts, it's no wonder she took to art as her form of expression. Upon realizing that Fujino, the one standing before her, is the exact same Fujino that she has admired from afar, Kiyomoto's trembling puts any injured animal to shame, and as words of praise clumsily tumble out of Kiyomoto's mouth, something ignites in Fujino. More so, reignites. Fujino, the 4th grader, now 5th grader, who had renounced her artist label, suddenly announces her plans for a new manga and a potential one-shot. Fujino is also nervous, but for a completely different reason from Kiyomoto. She's just a lot better at hiding it, because standing before her is the actual artist who has been the object of her ire. This object who can seemingly channel magic with her fingers is excitedly chattering away about how desperately she wants to see Fujino's magnum opus. I know it's kind of cheesy, but Look Back takes on a predictable Bakuman route from here on out. Now it becomes a movie about two friends who are tirelessly pouring all of their hours, their daytime, into making the perfect manga. They openly embrace each other's art, each other's vision, and look to each other constantly for any type of insight. And no matter what type of silly doodle Fujino comes up with, Kiyomoto is always enthralled, happy, excited, or moved to tears. And I think, finally, Fujino feels truly seen. I think she even starts to believe in the concept of soulmates. They don't sound so silly anymore. And Fujino, because she's Fujino, starts to feel pretty full of herself. She thinks that she can carry her and Kiyomoto all the way to the top if Kiyomoto just watches her back and never loses sight of it. And again, here's another spoiler warning because we will be getting into the events of the 3rd act and the conclusion.
ごめん、私、美術の大学に行きたい。
There isn't any ill will in Kiyomoto's words, not at all, but to Fujino this may as well be a breakup. So then, Fujino claims that she's going to be a famous mangaka all on her own, and she'll show Kiyomoto that she was wrong. And time passes by, and both women seem to be achieving their dreams, especially Fujino. Fujino is a popular mangaka who was able of getting one of her first major works serialized and adapted into an anime called Shark Kick, which is about a shark who punches. Meanwhile, Kiyomoto seems to be flourishing during her time at art school. Her landscape art seems to now have jumped out of the confines of her black and white pencil sketches. But unfortunately, that all comes to an end. To put it lightly, Kiyomoto dies. She is killed by some deranged axe murderer who comes into her school, and unfortunately, she was unlucky enough to be the first person he meets. And this shatters Fujino, and now all of the regret comes flowing back. She believes that it's all her fault that Kiyomoto is dead. Fujino's ego crumbles away. She believes that she doomed Kiyomoto to death through art.
部屋から出さなきゃ死ぬことなかったのに。あれ、なんで書いたんだろう。書いても何も役に立たないのに。生クリーム食べに行こうぜ。
is no logical explanation for the cause of magical realism in this story. The only thing that I can use to possibly rationalize it is that this is the purest and most abstract way to convey how art can reach through timelines and different dimensions to connect two people who never would have been connected beforehand. If anything, I think it does a really good job of capturing this accidental love letter exchange that was going on between Fujino and Kiyomoto, because ever since the beginning, Kiyomoto was actually the one who was inspired to draw by Fujino. Because whether or not Kiyomoto was inspired to take up art by Fujino's comic strips, or Fujino being inspired out of spite to be better at art than Kiyomoto, it is simply a statement of fact that Kiyomoto and Fujino left indelible impressions on one another's journey. Fate's hand literally pulled the comic strip out of Fujino's hand and thrusted it underneath Kiyomoto's door, and without that comic strip, Kiyomoto would have never stepped out of her home. And Kiyomoto then too reaches out across the fold to remind Fujino that she loves her art, and she loves her, and that everything that she has created has inspired at least one person to live. And if that is not the ultimate purpose of an artist, then I don't know what else is. Even though this is mostly told from the perspective of Fujino and Kiyomoto offer the most important gift to one another as artists, differing perspectives that give you a full explanation for why someone loves your art. Because it's so easy to be masked by the blinders of self-hatred where you always think that whatever you put out is utter trash. And to have someone in your life prove you wrong is a gift. The pursuit of art is a bit like the war of attrition. Artists are constantly expected to whittle away at their limited resources. A lot like as though you're sacrificing your body as some type of bargaining chip in this Faustian contract. Every time an artist lays pen to paper, they're expected to flesh out this masterpiece. And oftentimes, that doesn't happen. And for every defeat suffered, for every moment that you're not making any progress, every time one of your drawings comes out fucking hideous, we persist, because I believe every artist wants to reach out across the fold in order to make at least one person feel the same way they did when they created something that they were proud of. And the most frightening thing to realize as an artist is when you realize that you are interchangeable. If there was any other kid who could draw half as well as Fujino did, then her classmates would have given her the exact same praise as they did Fujino. A hypothetical that was proven true once Kiyomoto started drawing for the school newspaper. But as the crowd thins, Kiyomoto stands, with her feet firmly planted and her arms thrown up, cheering for Fujino, because she's the one who truly sees and understands who Fujino is. When Kiyomoto laughs, cries, or admires Fujino's work, it's just as good as saying, I love you, and I see you, and I love every single part of you. Art is extraordinarily painful to pursue. It is a take-and-take relationship, a starving child whose appetite could never be fulfilled. And yet, we artists are these chefs who are constantly trying to cook up these new experiences for this child. Whether or not it be getting a good chuckle out of you, like with Fujino's work, or leaving you with a sense of awe like Kiyomoto's work, art is a silent language and feelings are the vocabulary. We can only hope to find someone who loves us the way that we want, to see past all of the things that you hate about yourself. And that is a gift, because in the moment that Fujino loses Kiyomoto, she gains herself. And from then on, she returns to the exact same place where it all started. To her desk, creating a world for a woman who won't be there to see it. Hello. This is the 5th time I've had to sit down and film this outro because either the first one had some type of weird fuckery happening with the sound, the second one was in too low a resolution, and the third and fourth time it had this weird ugly yellow tinge because I decided to film it in low light. Something happened. So if this video's view count does not exceed my current subscriber count, I am going to combust. But anyway, how are you guys? Happy Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, happy Thanksgiving, happy New Year's Eve, happy Hanukkah. Much to catch up on, especially because I haven't posted a video in the past 2 months. That was my fault, but I've also just been sick, bummed, and I've been busy visiting family and friends and everything. And yeah, I've just been trying to take better care of myself. This video was supposed to be a 2024 end of the year retrospective, but that didn't happen, so better late than never, I guess. So I hope you guys are doing well, and I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if you didn't, make sure to comment anyway. Feeds the algorithm. And if you really hate me, maybe you can even share this with some of your pals on Discord. Yeah, I've been meaning to make a video on Look Back for a while now. I originally saw it like like a couple of months ago with my boyfriend, and he really, really loved it. I remember sitting there, honestly, just full on crying around the part when Fujino was talking about how Kiyomoto would have been better off if they just never met, and that Fujino actually killed Kiyomoto with her art, as ridiculous as it is. But being someone who's lost someone very close to me before, I know grief does shit to a motherfucker. And that's basically what this movie does. The grief is kind of this bacteria that feeds off of Fujino's self-hate, feeling like as though she has accomplished nothing, even though she has been a successful mangaka. And even though she does have a successful manga that's been serialized and has an anime coming out soon, she still feels like she's inept, and I think it's reflected really well in her final living space. Even though she does have this beautiful apartment with this great view and these huge windows, the only space that she really calls her own is her workspace, with her desk, her computer, and her books. I did say that this movie was about self-hate and that every artist secretly hates themselves, but I do think it's a movie that is relatable to everyone who's ever had something that they cared about or who's ever had goals, and I hope that's 99% of my viewers watching this right now. The thing about self-hate when you have a goal in mind is that any moment that you do not spend getting closer to your goal feels like a cut to the soul. It's why I can't help but think that Look Back is a movie that perfectly captures the toxic relationship that an artist can have with art, that the average person can have with a goal. And it's that they eventually get lost in the mad shuffle to become the best version of themselves in favor of their joy. It becomes this almost cannibalizing relationship, because the thing is that with self-hatred, it doesn't matter whether or not you are making enough progress at the end of the day. You realize that at the end of the day, the person you're competing with is your own expectations of yourself. And I find that disappointing yourself is always the scariest possibility. And I think that this is a movie that perfectly captures that experience. That's why I think that at the moment that Fujino loses Kiyomoto, she gains herself, because she starts to be able to accept exactly what it was about her art that was so good that Kiyomoto called her sensei and worshipped the ground that she walked on. I think that's exactly what every artist wants. We want to be acknowledged, we want to be seen for who we are no matter what we do or make, no matter the quality. And I think that goes the same for a lot of people. They just want to be accepted no matter what. But a lot of times, in order to see that acceptance, you have to accept it yourself. You have to let yourself be loved. You have to open yourself up to the possibilities. Honestly, I related to it a lot, not only because I'm an artist, but because I've also been trapped in a dead-end job where I was hell-bent on surviving. I mean, when I moved to LA years ago, I was just working dead-end jobs so that I could pay the bills. And I pretty much put my dreams to be an artist on the back burner. I only really started to take my dreams more seriously and take a lot more time to improve my skills around 2022 when I took a step back. And it's been hard. Trust me, these things are never easy. I think everyone will tell you the same thing. And I feel more fulfilled because I was able of finding people who saw me in the way that I never would have. I met people who saw the beauty in my art, who saw the beauty in me, who saw the beauty in me when I would cry, who saw the beauty in me when I would be happy at my best. And honestly, he doesn't want to be seen like that. And of course, it took a lot of self-discovery on my part, where I had to accept the ugliest parts of myself so that I can use that as an example of what not to do in the future. It was all for the better. And come around 2022 is when I really started to give content creation a try. Before, I was posting daily on my Instagram, which if you look at it now is completely fucking barren. And after getting prompted by a friend of mine, I started to look to TikTok as a possible outlet for my character design analysis videos and my thoughts. Of course, unsurprisingly, my first ever character design analysis was on Rise of the TMNT, but of course, you guys can't see that now because it's on my band account. But eventually, come May 2023, is when I decided to make my first ever video essay on Rise of the TMNT. I owe a lot to that video because I did not expect for that video to get any views, let alone about 43,000 within the first month. And look, I don't think you guys should watch it because it's kind of a piece of shit video. I want to re-release a new version of it on my Patreon, kind of like a remaster where it has better editing, better visuals, better timing, just better sound work, all of that shit.
We do what all we do told you, baby.
It's because of you who is watching this video, whether or not you hate me. It's because of the people I've met on my journey in person. It's because of my past collaborators, my friends, not so much my family, because a lot of times they ask me why the fuck I was so stupid to go into art, but that's a whole other thing. And it's my bunnies, it's my partner. Every positive influence I've had in my life, and all of the bullshit, is who I have to thank for this moment right now. Were it not for them, I wouldn't be here. Were it not for you, I wouldn't be talking to this mic right now with more confidence. I think it's just crazy what opening yourself up to love can do. So I hope that whoever you are right now, you can go the way of Fujino. I just hope you don't have to experience your Kiyomoto blanking out of existence anytime soon. That would suck. But I hope that you get to be just like Fujino in the way that she learns what she hates about herself and what she can improve, what she loves about herself, and what she can keep. And yeah, that's pretty much the long-winded ethos of this video. If you're on Patreon watching this right now, thank you by the way, that means that you've likely gotten access to the ad-free, uncut, uncensored, uncircumcised version of this video, and you also likely got early access to this video as well. And for only $2 a month, you can also join my patrons. It's a single tier on my Patreon because I understand some of you are on the younger side, and well, in the current media zeitgeist, everyone has a fucking subscription now. So I just wanted to make it something that was affordable and accessible to everyone. So if you are interested in any behind the scenes content like scripts, visuals, or notes that I use to supplement the creation of a video, you can also vote on polls for future video ideas. Currently, I have an Arcane video that I have been working on. It's at about 78 pages of notes. And I also have a Sonic video that I'm working on next. I recently saw Sonic 3, and even though I know nothing about the Sonic series, I still want to give my 2 cents on the character designs for the live action franchise. I also have a couple more videos I plan, like Dragon Prince. I still have the long-awaited Dungeon Meshi video that I want to finish, and just a couple of other things too, maybe even some Dragon Stampede in the mix. And that's it. Hope you guys are looking forward to it as much as I am. Thank you for sitting through this awkward conversation. I just want to do more live things like this, be one-on-one with you guys. It just took a while to get a grasp of it because the sound and the video quality just kept fucking up, so thank you for your patience. Anyway, I've been me, Vicky, and that's it. See ya.